Hello and welcome back to Total Football Analysis's live coverage of the Premier League. As ever, I'm your commentator, Harry Symeou, and I'm delighted to be joined once again by Lee Scott. Lee, welcome back, my friend. How are you, first of all?
I'm fine, Harry. How are you getting on?
Not too bad, my friend. Can't complain. Looking forward to this one. Of course, my team are in action a little bit later on today, so I can relax and enjoy this one without any pressure. It's Manchester United versus Bournemouth. We're bringing you this afternoon via the Hot Mic application. Don't forget, you can use the app to sync our commentary with your television pictures. Now, of course, Lee, there are two sides going head to head here in need of Premier League points, but of course for very, very different reasons. Today's visitors, Bournemouth, are a point from safety at the start of the action. And of course, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men are just 2 points behind Chelsea in the race for the UEFA Champions League qualification places. What sort of game are you expecting to see here this afternoon, Lee?
I think, given the form that the two clubs have been in recent weeks, it's likely that we're going to see a dominant performance from Manchester United. I expect them to dominate the ball and to have the majority of the attacking moments in the game. Bournemouth are finding things very difficult at the moment, have been since the restart in football. Even before that, their form wasn't great before the lockdown period happened. I think that they're a team who look a little bit short on confidence, and they really need something to go for them early in this game if they're to get anything out of it.
Absolutely. Let's take you through the two starting 11s. Let's start with the hosts, Manchester United. It's David De Gea in goal, a back four of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw. In the middle of the park, it's Paul Pogba and Nemanja Matic, with Bruno Fernandes expected to take up position just in front of them. Mason Greenwood, we think, is going to start from the right, Marcus Rashford from the left, and Anthony Martial will lead the line for Manchester United. That's how it is on our screens, but of course, we could see some tweaks in that in terms of the formation and the personnel and which positions they are taking up. So we'll keep a close eye on that and let you know. Lee, it's pretty much the same team that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's been going with for a little bit now. They're on great form. What have you made of the Fernandes-Pogba partnership? That's been something special, hasn't it?
I think it has real promise. I think that there was always a sense that how those two combined with one another would be key for Manchester United when they went out and signed this. Cards on the table, I was quite surprised that they went out and spent so much money, and I was completely wrong. I thought that he would struggle at United and that he wouldn't quite be able to match up to the price tag, but obviously that's been proven completely wrong since the Portuguese international arrived at Old Trafford. I remember liking him a lot when he was at Sampdoria in Italy, and I was surprised when he made the move back to Portugal with Sporting Club Portugal. But then now that he's come into the Premier League, he seems to be a player who's made for this level. And now you're seeing Paul Pogba having another midfield player who's he's able to combine with, which brings out the best in Pogba as well. I think that the role that the manager Matic plays in sitting for those two players and holding the depth, if you like, and giving defensive cover will be key as well. But certainly there seems to be a lot of versatility in the midfield for Manchester United, which isn't something that we've seen in recent seasons.
Absolutely. He's given them that ability, hasn't he, to break down teams when they sit with a low block and
Yep,
really make things frustrating. He's obviously got wonderful passing ability. He also knows where the back of the net is as well, because
he does.
in just 8 Premier League appearances, he's managed 5 goals and 3 assists so far, which is pretty impressive. And, we all know the qualities that Paul Pogba possesses. If you can keep him fit, if you can keep him happy, I guess more importantly, the two can be a real, real threat for Manchester United. The threat of Rashford, we all know about it. And of course, Mason Greenwood as well, 18 years old, 6 Premier League goals this season, and England under-21 international. He's shown real promise too.
Definitely. I think England under 21 international for now, probably we should qualify as, because I would expect him to make his way into Southgate's senior team at some point soon. His promise has been known for a long time. Unlike Marcus Rashford, a little bit, when Rashford first broke through to the first team at Manchester United, it was a little bit of a surprise to many people. He wasn't seen as a surefire thing, if you like, when he was in the youth system. He had a good goal scoring record, but it was only a series of injuries that let him get his chance. And obviously, since then, he's grown and blossomed into a key first team player at United. Mark Greenwood, on the other hand, he was somebody who people have been talking about for a long time. His ability to go right or left, his finishing ability, his ability to shoot with power, to shoot with finesse, to play up front or to play on the right hand side. A lot of versatile options there for United. It is good to see them still sticking with the United philosophy of giving young players a chance when they're ready.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at Bournemouth's side. Of course, Bournemouth, as I mentioned, they are struggling. Premier League survival is the priority for Eddie Howe's men. It's not really looking good for them based on what we've seen in recent weeks. A home defeat at the hands of Newcastle United will have come as a huge blow to Eddie Howe. There's no doubt about that. But if we run through their team, it's Aaron Ramsdale in goal. It's a back four of Adam Smith, Nathan Ake, Lloyd Kelly and Diego Rico. Across the midfield, it's a midfield four, we think. Junior Stanislas from the left, Jefferson Lerma, Lewis Cook in the middle, and David Brooks, we think, is going to operate from the right-hand side. And then, of course, up front, it's Dominic Solanke and Joshua King. Now, when I was doing some research ahead of this one, Lee, it became abundantly clear that Bournemouth's problem has been in the final third. I know they've conceded a lot of goals as well, but Joshua King, for example, he's only got 4 goals in the Premier League this season compared to the 12 he managed last year. You can see that they're really, really missing his goals. And then we look at Solanke, he's not scored a single goal in the league yet.
And that's not because they don't have talent. They certainly have the ability to find the back of the net. It's more to do, I think, with the supply line. Last season, for example, when you referenced King's goal scoring record, that was a season where Ryan Fraser played from the left-hand side, a Scottish international winger, and he was extremely impressive in terms of the amount of assists and key passes and penalty area recoveries, if you like, getting the ball at the penalty area. He was very impressive in all those metrics, and he was a key player in terms of making things happen for Bournemouth. This season being his last season in his contract, and we all know now that he's not going to play again for Bournemouth after refusing to sign a short-term deal that would take him up to the end of this extended season. This season he hasn't been up to those levels, and Bournemouth have really missed that sense of creativity. I think it'll definitely help having David Brooks back on the right side of midfield, as you said. He's been out for a long time with an injury, and he's somebody who can make things happen in the final third. So maybe the front men will find it a little bit easier having somebody like that playing in the midfield with the creativity that he offers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tough task. I think barring Anfield and I guess the Etihad, this is the last place Eddie Howe would have wanted to have been taking his side today.
Definitely. I think that any team at the moment who are coming in to play Manchester United, who are so full of confidence, they're challenging up towards the top of the table for those Champions League group stages, Champions League qualification stages, sorry. And you really wouldn't bet against them at the moment. It certainly seems as though they have the momentum, they have the form, they have the goal scoring ability within their squad more than anything else. I think that really, I think, make them favourites to get a top 4 finish this season. And I wouldn't have said that 6 months ago. I certainly wouldn't have. The way they were playing, things just seem to have clicked for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which is interesting to see. And obviously, we're so used to Manchester United being a big player in terms of the Premier League. So it'll be interesting to see whether they keep this going and how they reinforce the squad at the end of the season to then have a real run at things next year. I would say for Bournemouth, it's interesting. They've got a couple of good young players who are playing. Keep an eye out for Lloyd Kelly, who's playing in the centre of defence today alongside Nathan Ake. Lloyd Kelly can also play at left back, and I know that before he actually signed for Bournemouth, he was being looked at by Liverpool as a squad option. So there's certainly a player there, albeit one who's had injury problems.
Indeed, and lots of promise in terms of the youngsters, but Eddie Howe's side desperately in need of a result today, desperate to climb out of that relegation zone. And I know they've had better seasons, but you just feel like if they are able to escape the drop, this will be such a significant moment in the club's history.
Hugely. I mean, Bournemouth are a club who, let's be clear, they've been punching above their weight for years now with Premier League survival, given the infrastructure at the club, given the relative size of the club compared to some others that aren't even in the Premier League. They've done a great job to be able to have had this run of Premier League football. They're always going to be a team who I think struggle down towards the bottom of the table, but Eddie Howe's a coach who likes his teams to play a certain way. He's always favoured attacking football at Bournemouth, and that's sometimes been reflected in their lack of defensive stability, which perhaps they need to work on in order to solidify their position in the Premier League. But if they do manage to stay up this season, then expect them to have another go next year to reinforce. They like to sign young, talented players. They like to sign players from around Britain as well, which is always interesting to see players like Lloyd Kelly get the chance to move to the Premier League and play first team football. So I admire the philosophy of the club. I think that it'll be interesting to see, however, if they do manage to escape the drop this year. I'm not convinced that they will.
Me too. I really do fear for them. And it's a shame because Eddie Howe is a good young manager, interesting coach with a good footballing philosophy. But sometimes in this league, you need to be a bit more, I guess, tactically astute. And I think that's probably the one thing that you could maybe point at Eddie Howe and say that he lacks a little bit. It's about digging out results in the key moments. And I don't know that Eddie Howe has the ability to shore up his team and make things that little bit more sturdy in order to get them over the line. The two teams are out on the field now as kickoff approaches us fast. Don't forget, if you're watching via YouTube, download the Hot Mic app using the promo code TFA2020 and you can sync our commentary with your television pictures. Myself, Harry Symeou, I'm joined by Lee Scott, bringing you the expert analysis live as this one unfolds. Old Trafford empty, of course, as are all the stadiums at the moment. It's taken some getting used to, but I think I'm there. How about you, Lee?
I think I am as well. I think at first, obviously, when the Bundesliga come back, and that was so very new, and things took a little bit while to get used to the sounds, if you like, in the stadium. And I know that there are options in certain TV channels that you can have crowd noise, but I think that if the crowd isn't actually there, I would almost prefer just to watch the game without it. Sometimes it's interesting. I know people have enjoyed being able to hear some of the instructions that the coaches are shouting onto the field, and perhaps to hear some of the more colourful language as well from the players when they're playing. I think hopefully we'll get to a point within the next 12 months where fans are allowed in some stage, in some way, to return to stadiums. I know that up here in Scotland that they're suggesting that we may get to a point where we're allowing a certain percentage of fans into stadiums, so season ticket holders may be able to return at some point, which would be a nice step towards normality.
Indeed. Let's quickly run through the two substitutes benches as the players get ready for kickoff here. For Manchester United, it's Eric Bailly, Juan Mata, Andreas Pereira, Fred, Daniel James, Sergio Romero, Odion Ighalo, Scott McTominay and Brandon Williams. For Bournemouth, it's Arthur Borrett, Stan Gosling, Andrew Surman, Arnaut Danjuma, Jack Stacey, Harry Wilson, Philip Billing, Mark Travers and Sam Surridge. Anthony Martial on your screens there. 19 goals in all competitions this season. Often gets spoken about for maybe not being consistent enough, but that's a pretty decent goal return from the Frenchman.
Hugely so. He's somebody who I think his consistency and perhaps his love a bit off the pitch, his willingness to work hard has been questioned as well. I mean, at the start of the season, we saw Martial playing as a 9 and Marcus Rashford playing from the left-hand side, and that was something that social was very clear that he wanted to continue with over the course of the season, but injuries prevented that a little bit, but their ability to combine is key for United.
That's right, as the players take the knee in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. And we're underway here at Old Trafford. It's Bournemouth in possession at the moment, wearing, I don't even know what you call that colour, a sort of off-blue, a turquoise perhaps. They're shooting from right to left, and Manchester United in their traditional red shirts, white socks and white shorts, I should say, and black socks. There you go. Myself in a bit of a muddle there with the kits. You'd think I'd know it off the top of my head by now. Manchester United colours are very, very famous. Here's Victor Lindelof as De Gea plays the goal kick short. Manchester United playing the ball out of their defence. Harry Maguire into Paul Pogba. Under pressure immediately. Huge game for both sides this afternoon. As I said right at the top of the broadcast, two sides desperately in need of Premier League points, of course, for very, very different reasons, however. Here is Marcus Rashford driving at the Bournemouth defence. Good work there from Jefferson Lerma. Here's Victor Lindelof. What have you made of Victor Lindelof this season, Lee? Because he's another one, isn't he, that often he's looked at and there's questions over his ability to perform to a high standard consistently.
I think there were questions surrounding him when he first signed for Benfica. In Portugal, he was a good player. He was somebody who was performing well in the Portuguese league and in Europe for Benfica. But there was questions about whether he was, if you like, Manchester United, so top level Premier League quality. And I think that he has started to stabilise a little bit more in that position. It helps having a figure, I think, like Harry Maguire beside him. I think you either really like Harry Maguire or you really dislike him. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I think he's a very, very capable defender, but I think his ability on the ball and possession is sometimes overblown. I think that he doesn't progress the ball as well. Some people seem to think that he does. But having him alongside Lindelof seems to have settled Lindelof down a little bit now, and he is starting to show signs of stabilising and becoming an important player in the squad, which is good because United do have limited options, if you like, apart from those two.
Absolutely. Here is Mason Greenwood inside to Paul Pogba. Shifted out to the left-hand side. Luke Shaw will chase this. He'll keep it in pretty comfortably as well. He looks to attack Bournemouth down this left-hand side. Don't forget, if you are using the Hot Mic app and you want to manually synchronise our commentary with your television pictures, we're on the 2nd minute, 43rd second. Ball into the box. Headed clear. Diego Rico. It's back with Bruno Fernandes now. Here's Pogba. Good work from Stanislas on this left-hand side for Bournemouth. Ball into the channel that King will chase. Got Lindelof for company. Forced back. Here's Jefferson Lerma. He's forced back further. Bournemouth managed to maintain possession, though, as the ball's delivered into the penalty area. It'll go over the head of Josh King and Aaron Wan-Bissaka and go out for a Manchester United goal kick.
That was the kind of situation where Bournemouth should be making more of things in the final third. The ball could have been switched out to the right-hand side where there was space to work the ball further in the final third before you try to access the penalty area. For teams that are low in confidence, quite often you see them try to play those over-ambitious passes too early, and that just leads to goal kicks for the opposition, as we just saw.
Manchester United taking another short goal kick, and this time putting themselves under a little bit of pressure. Clearly what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants from his team.
Yes. I think that this is something that you and I speak about quite often, the fact that so many teams these days are trying to play that way out from the back. Sometimes, as we saw in the first minute from United, it can be very effective. They can play through space and have platforms to attack from. Other times, things get a little bit more rushed. But if United are able to access the central areas where Pogba's positioned, played out from the back, they should have no problems.
Right, it's a risk that, as we've spoken about, as you said in previous broadcasts, it is a risk that many managers are willing to take these days.
I think it gives you a little bit more control as you move the ball through the thirds rather than the more direct ball, which is a 50-50 challenge in most occasions, if you like, when you may win the ball and be able to keep the ball to attack, and you may lose it and be in transition to defend. Managers like to have that a little bit more control as they move the ball forward. And as I say, with players with technical ability, that can be very, very effective. Other times it can feel a little bit more rushed, especially against teams who press well. Bournemouth aren't a team who press that well, though, so expect to see United play through them.
Here is Anthony Martial. Gives the ball away. Pogba looked as though he'd regained possession there for Manchester United, but it's with Bournemouth now looking to spring a counter-attack. Ball over Lindelof's head, but he'll get there anyway. Stanislas was coming up on his outside there, hoping to nick possession for the visitors. 5 minutes played here at Old Trafford. Eddie Howe will be pretty encouraged by what he's seen, I would say, so far anyway.
I think so. I think they certainly haven't been overawed. They haven't seen United dominate possession. They've had a couple of access points in the penalty area, which is positive for Bournemouth. The key thing is for them to be a little bit more composed, take their time a little bit more, and just try to find the correct pass in the right area from which they can maybe fashion a shot.
Absolutely. We'll have a throw-in. Pretty much in line with the edge of Manchester United's penalty area on this near side. Going to be Lloyd Kelly. Looks like he's going to launch the ball into the penalty area.
Yeah, he's well known for having a very long throw.
Right, with an angled run-up. It's a rather strange run-up, but he launches it into the penalty area. Pogba gets ahead to it. Back with Lloyd Kelly. Plays the ball inside. Stanislas does well to create a little bit of space. Looks towards Nathan Ake, who had slayed forward, but Manchester United have it back. Solanke putting Matic under pressure, driving into the box. Matic recovers, though. Pogba twists and turns. manages to spread the play out to this left-hand side. Luke Shaw will drive infield in this inside left channel for Manchester United. Rashford will pick it up now. Referee plays advantage. Looks to link up with Martial. Bruno Fernandes has come across. Cross into the penalty area, though, straight into the hands of Aaron Ramsdale in the Bournemouth goal.
And that's something we can expect to see quite often from United. They tend to use Luke Shaw on the left-hand side as a pressure reliever, if you like. So if the play is congested in the middle, they'll look out to the left-hand side where Shaw can move forward in the attacking phase. Wan-Bissaka on the right is far less likely to get forward in those areas. He does occasionally, but look to see them play to the left more than the right, I think.
Martial looks to turn. I think it was Lloyd Kelly there. Gone down, he's won his team a free kick. Certainly looks a confident young man, does Lloyd Kelly.
Yeah, very versatile. Normally plays in the left back position, so it's interesting to see him if he is going to be used centrally by Bournemouth here. He definitely has the right profile, he has the physical profile, the size, the speed, if you like, to be able to handle the movement from like Rashford and Martial and Greenwood. But it is difficult playing in that area in the Premier League when you're used to playing wide.
It is a real change, isn't it? A real difference. Here is Victor Lindelof. Nemanja Matic into Luke Shaw. Again taking up that inside left position. He does so often for this Manchester United team. Skill from Matic. Sold the dummy to 2 Bournemouth men, but the Cherries have it back. Diego Rico. Stanislas will pick this up. Wan-Bissaka chasing back. Stanislas looks up, delivers into the box low. Lindelof gets a block in. Able to find Wan-Bissaka as well. Wan-Bissaka has won his team a goal kick. Bournemouth looking menacing on these counter-attacks. They're certainly getting players forward. They've certainly come here to take the game to Manchester United whenever, of course, the opportunity presents itself.
They have, but you saw there that there were no players for Bournemouth in the penalty area. There was one player making a run in there when the ball was cleared eventually, but there was no reference point centrally. They need to get their forwards into advanced areas more quickly, I think, to be able to really threaten this United team.
Greenwood lays it off. Fernandes thinks about throwing it into the mix, doesn't. Checks back. Here's Greenwood. Fernandes on the right, infield to Mason Greenwood. To Paul Pogba, takes a touch, dinks it into the penalty area in Greenwood's direction, but the pass was nowhere near accurate enough, and it ends up back with the goalkeeper. The movement was a good idea.
Yeah, good idea. Very difficult pass to be able to pull off, just to be able to drop it into that space. It would have to be dropped exactly into the zone where Greenwood could pick it up. Pogba's got the quality to do that, and he seems to be trying to find that creative spark again after so many months where he just hasn't looked like he had it anymore. So it's great to see from a football perspective. As a football fan, you want players like Pogba to be in top form, because when he is, he can light up any game.
Can indeed, and there's been a lot of talk about his attitude and you know the sort of desire to play for Manchester United. Can't deny his talent there. Here's Bruno Fernandes, lifts it over Ramsdale. Opportunity for Manchester United inside 10 minutes. Portuguese attacking midfielder just broke through the Bournemouth defence there. I think it was Marcus Rashford with the deliveries just onside. You can see he's got him behind here. Looks to lift it over the goalkeeper, but he just got too much on it, Fernandes.
And that's what we were just talking about. We were just talking about the difficulty for a young player to switch essentially from a left back position to a centre back position in the Premier League. A little bit of movement from Bruno Fernandes. He dropped off slightly on the blind side of Lloyd Kelly, and then when the pass was played, he was able to spring through with that little burst of acceleration. You would expect the defender to be able to catch him in that area, but again, he needs to be more aware, open up the body a little bit more so he can keep Fernandes in his peripheral vision.
The best moment we've seen from Manchester United so far.
Definitely. And Fernandes gives them that. It gives them the ability to run beyond the striker, which isn't something they've had from midfield for quite some time.
That's right. They've certainly missed that type of player. And, you know, he's come in and he seems to have just given everybody around the place a real boost.
I think it's personality as much as it is ability. You see him always demanding the ball, and in possession, you'll see him gesticulating, so he's telling his teammates where he wants them to move when he has the ball. He just seems able to dominate the game from those kind of areas.
Interesting to see Nemanja Matic almost drop into make up a back three when Manchester United have possession, allowing Luke Shaw to bomb on and Wan-Bissaka on the other side, of course.
Exactly, and it's just a little bit more control in that way. Matic has been playing well since even before the lockdown. He was actually hitting a good run of form, which is something again that we hadn't seen from United for some time. Having Matic do that, obviously McTominay and Fred are the other options that they have in that role, but Solskjaer seems to favour this Matic and Pogba combination at double pivot now, and that's because Matic is intelligent enough to drop off in those areas just to give a little bit more stability, as you can see here.
Manchester United have dominated possession so far, 61%. Here is Lindelof. Into Bruno Fernandes. It's a nice ball. Opportunity to deliver into the box. It's headed clear, though, by Adam Smith. Solanke. King working back. Here's Matic into Shaw. Back to Matic. Manchester United probing here. But at the moment, Bournemouth are standing firm with almost a back six. Here is Jefferson Lerma. Giving the ball away cheaply. Matic in possession now. Here's Martial. Back to Matic.
And Bournemouth are defending so deep now, they're lacking a reference point. So even when they do win the ball back quickly, they're not able to break effectively and to move the ball up, and it gives United that ability to counter-press because United are so condensed in that final third. If they lose the ball, they're able just to quickly press and try to win the ball back and put Bournemouth under pressure. Bournemouth need to find a way to find a reference point to leave at least one player high and even wide so you've got that ability to break quickly against United.
Exactly. Have some sort of outlet. Even if it's just throwing the ball into certain channels for him to chase, it just buys them a bit of time, doesn't it, to get up the pitch?
Yeah, exactly. It would allow Bournemouth to move forward, to move up, and to stop sitting deep so much. Because if you continue to sit deep in that position, United will eventually find a way through. And Bournemouth need to be a little bit more proactive and be able to move the ball up and make more of a game of this. Because at the moment, I think, unfortunately for Bournemouth, it looks like the pattern may be set for the rest of the game.
He expected Manchester United to dominate possession here. That's exactly what we're seeing is Lindelof. Ball might break to him here as he drives into the penalty area. Out came Ramsdale. Pretty well there, the goalkeeper.
He did.
Was alert. He was awake to the situation. Here's Josh King's won a throw-in for his side.
To an extent, that shows just how almost unconcerned United are. They're not that worried about the threat Bournemouth have in attack. Lindelof, it's not unusual to see a defender step forward in possession, but it is unusual to see them breaking into the penalty area to try and get a lift over the goalkeeper like that. I think that's why it really needs Solanke or King to be able to give that presence and to almost pin the United centre halves back so they can't get in possession in those areas.
Been interesting because every time King has received the ball so far, he's been out on this near side, on this left-hand side for Bournemouth. Ball's thrown into the penalty area. Solanke attacks it. It's going to break to Stanislas here. Drives it towards goal. King goes down. He's appealing for something. Here's Stanislas through the defender's legs. That is a wonderful goal from Junior Stanislas. And Bournemouth have taken a shock lead here at Old Trafford.
They have, and we were just saying that we thought the pattern was set and that Bournemouth were going to struggle, but that was a great piece of skill from Stanislas. Slowed the game down, waited for the defender to jump the challenge, just slipped the ball through. But David De Gea should never be getting beaten from that angle. There's no excuse for the Spanish goalkeeper. He should have had a block on that ball.
Indeed, he should have, and we're just seeing a replay here. He drove the ball in towards King. The ball broke back to him. He just feints to take a touch, knocks it past Harry Maguire, catches him completely unawares, and beats David De Gea at his near post. That is a wonderful piece of invention and skill from Junior Stanislas. And what a huge, huge goal that could be for Bournemouth in the context of this season.
You see, he maybe had foot to the side of David De Gea to aim to squeeze that ball through. And just be able to find that small gap at the goalkeeper's near post. David De Gea has had some criticism in recent weeks for his goalkeeper performances, and I fear that he'll have the same again today.
Certainly questions will be asked of the goalkeeper, but they should be asked of Harry Maguire as well. Because Stanislas, as much of a brilliant piece of skill as that was, he's completely sold him there. He looks as though he's going to take a touch and stop, doesn't he? And then he changes pace again and beats him.
It's just that ability to pause in possession that some players have, but defenders should know better, especially defenders at this level and international defenders. The body position should have been better. He should have been holding off a little bit more, waiting for Stanislas to move. Instead, he jumped a little bit. He allowed Stanislas just to knock the ball through his legs with a great piece of skill, great piece of invention, but it still should have been blocked at that point.
And from a neutral perspective, probably the best thing that could have happened to this game for us. Bournemouth taking a lead at Old Trafford. Here is Luke Shaw on the left-hand side, delivers into the box. It's low and it's a poor cross in truth. And it allows Jefferson Lerma to get a foot to it, clear it out for a Manchester United throw-in.
The fear is now that Bournemouth will drop into a deeper and deeper block and that they'll just try to sit deep and protect the lead, which could be very dangerous. But if they are able to break like we just saw, then maybe that will play into their hands a little bit if United get a little bit too far up the field.
Free kick given against Bournemouth there. See the ball come into Paul Pogba's feet. Jefferson Lerma certainly was pulling him back there, and then Josh King got involved as well. Don't think there can be any complaints. It's certainly a foul.
That's why Pogba's so dangerous. The mix of physical strength and technical ability and ability to move and manipulate the ball. He gets a lot of free kicks in these kind of areas just because he's so strong and so technically good.
He certainly is when he's in full flow. He's a very, very difficult player to contain. Bruno Fernandes and Rashford are over it. Rashford strikes it. It's a good save from Ramsdale. Diving to his right there, the Bournemouth goalkeeper.
It looked like Rashford took that one away from Bruno. I think the Fernandes thought he was going to take it.
I certainly thought he was going to take it, but Rashford goes across the goal. A good effort. I'm not sure if it was just curling just wide of the post. I think the spin on the ball may have taken it just wide, but Ramsdale wasn't to know that. Manchester United have a corner now. Fernandes takes this one, delivered into the box towards Lindelof's head. He can't guide the header on target. Seeing the replay of it, he gets above two Bournemouth men there. Fernandes certainly moved as though he was going to take that free kick.
Did. I think that was definitely the plan. Rashford just decided to take it just ahead of him a little think. If that got in, though, would it be a problem? I wouldn't imagine we'll see Rashford take the next one, though.
No, absolutely not. I'm sure the former Sporting man will be sure of that to make sure he gets onto the ball earlier next time. Here's Harry Maguire. Back to David De Gea. Short to Lindelof, just to the right of the Manchester United penalty area. Here's Wan-Bissaka infield to Pogba. Martial lays it off for Matic. Lays it out to the left where Marcus Rashford will receive possession. Luke Shaw's made the run beyond him. Rashford goes back inside though. Here's Pogba now. Wan-Bissaka. Back to Pogba. Matic under a bit of pressure, lays it off to Lindelof. Manchester United have squeezed Bournemouth into their own half here. Here's Matic. Out to the right-hand side where Wan-Bissaka will receive it. He's one-on-one with Stanislas. Looks to go past him. Looks to stand it up towards that far post, but the defender got a touch on it, and Manchester United have a corner.
I think Wan-Bissaka's had a lot of stick over the course of the season for his lack of a delivery from those areas, but it is an area of the game that he is improving on to go with his undoubted defensive ability.
The problem when you join somebody as big as Manchester United, you're expected to be there already. Fernandes delivers into the box. Comes to Luke Shaw on the edge of the penalty area for Manchester United. I think that was a shot on goal. It was blocked and he's got the ball back now. Here's Pogba picking it up in a slightly deeper position. Diagonal ball into the box. Rashford heads it back towards Mason Greenwood, who'd made a move inside the penalty area. But again, Ramsdale alert. He's got a goal kick out of it. Good thinking from Rashford. He certainly put the ball in the right area.
Definitely. I think again, it was just bravery from the young goalkeeper there to come out. He knows that there's a good chance there's going to be contact when he comes out for the ball like that. But him doing so put Greenwood off. And Greenwood is an excellent finisher in those kind of areas. If he gets any chance in the penalty area, expect him to hit the target.
Goal record speaks for itself. 6 in the Premier League season for Mason Greenwood.
There's been a lot of talk that coaches in the youth system didn't actually know if he was right-footed or left-footed for a long time. Every time they thought they had it sussed out, he would turn up the next day and he would be using the opposite foot. Sometimes he's had 2 penalties in a game and he's taken one with his right foot and one with his left foot, just so he could keep that balance as a professional footballer. And that's something not every player who is a professional is able to do. A lot of players are too one-footed, if you like, and a lot of times you see them wasting opportunities. Greenwood has that ability to strike on either side.
Takes a brave man to take a penalty with his weaker foot as well. Says a lot about his confidence. As Bournemouth have a free kick here and an opportunity to get the ball into the penalty area once more. Stanislas and Diego Rico are both standing over it. It's Rico to deliver into the box. Maguire, Lindelof, apologies, got something on it. Not sure if it was a head or a shoulder, but it's back in the box here as Bournemouth look to perhaps try and find a second. Stanislas drives it towards goal. Clearly full of confidence, having scored that wonderful goal just a little while ago. But for those of you watching us on YouTube, please do download the Hot Mic app using the promo code TFA2020 and you can sync our commentary with your television pictures. Head over to totalfootballanalysis.com and subscribe to the weekly magazine where you can find all sorts of tactical features, some really good content in there, really great stuff from the team. So please do check that out. I'm joined, of course, by Lee Scott. We've got a drinks break here at Old Trafford. It's raining in Manchester and we need a drinks break, apparently, but those are the rules these days. Lee, how can people keep up with your excellent work as well? How can they follow you on social media?
I think the best way is just to find me on Twitter. You can find me at FM Analysis, but make sure you follow Total Football Analysis as well, which is at Total Analysis. All of our content, daily content, goes up on the Twitter account.
Excellent stuff. Please do go over and check that out. I'm sure you won't be disappointed by the quality of the content. Two teams just taking a short drinks break here. What have you made of the first 23 and a half minutes, Lee? Bournemouth. Go ahead.
I think that we largely it's been as expected. Bournemouth have obviously got that goal, which we're seeing just now again on the screens, with a great piece of improvisation from Stanislas. So I perhaps didn't expect to see that from Stanislas. He hasn't certainly been shown glimpses of that through the season so far. I think that United, when in possession, are looking very comfortable. They're struggling at the moment to find space just at the edge of the penalty area to access into the penalty area. I think that's where Bournemouth are defending very well, rather than that one opportunity when Rashford put the ball over the top of the defence and Bruno Fernandes was able to get through, just lift the ball over the bar. I think that United need to find a little bit more composure in the final third, but expect to see them look for that. I think that as the game goes on, Bournemouth are going to find it very difficult to keep this part in the play up.
Manchester United with another short goal kick. Good pressing from Bournemouth, but as you said, will they be able to maintain this for 90? Well, not 90 now, but for the remainder of this game? Best part of 65 minutes.
They're not a team who's renowned for their pressing. You can see the front two now dropping off a little bit more, allowing United to move forward, and they'll just collapse back into that defensive shape now. And it's these areas that United need to be a little bit quicker in moving the ball to find the free man.
Here is Lindelof under pressure from Josh King. Greenwood, Wan-Bissaka down the line. Bruno Fernandes will get onto it. Gets the ball under control. He's under a lot of pressure here. Holds it up for Wan-Bissaka, who tried a little back flick, I think. But Manchester United maintain possession anyway. Despite that piece of trickery going horribly wrong for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's got the ball again now. Just see he hesitated about using his left foot there.
Yes. I mean, I think a lot of people, when he signed for United, the fee seemed a little bit inflated. There's no doubt that he's going to develop into a very, very good right back, but from a technical perspective, he perhaps lacks a little bit, and even still, that's the case. From a defensive perspective, he's excellent. His ability in challenges is well known, but when we move forward, he can be a little bit of a problem for United in the final third.
Disrupts the flow of the attack sometimes, doesn't he? Here's Pogba. Yeah. Out to Wan-Bissaka, delivers it low into the penalty area. That was a good delivery that time. And Lerma eventually gets it clear. Josh King will chase this.
Wan-Bissaka tends to be better when he doesn't have time to think about it, when he can just hit that low cross like that.
And think of a few players like that as Bournemouth go close to getting an attempt at goal again. It was Solanke coming across that time, but Harry Maguire steps in, and Harry Maguire brings the ball all the way up to the halfway line before finding Marcus Rashford. Thought it was going to be Anthony Martial, but Mason Greenwood just got a little bit too much on that. Gone out for a Bournemouth throw, and another chance for Eddie Howe's side to have a breather.
I think it's interesting that you haven't really had to say Martial's name in commentary. That's a sign, I think, that United are struggling to access that central space in the final third.
That's such a common thing, though, in the modern game, isn't it, Lee? And particularly since we've been doing these commentaries together, and I've been watching games with a very different viewpoint. And often, centre forwards are finding it difficult nowadays, aren't they, to get involved? I see it when I watch my own team. And I think that's off topic. I think that's why Mikel Arteta is keen on keeping Aubameyang operating from the left, because he just finds that little bit more freedom. But it is something that a lot of teams are suffering with at the moment. Would you agree with that?
Certainly is. I think that teams who have players who fit the profile, like Firmino at Liverpool, are going to get a lot more play from the centre forwards because he's able to drop deeper to combine the play, if you like. But because midfield and defences are getting better at positioning themselves in the defensive phase, they're limiting the space that the centre forwards can receive the ball in if they stay high. And you either have different profiles for centre forwards. So if you're a centre forward who likes to run in behind the defensive line, that's great until you come up against a team like this Bournemouth team who are going to sit deep and deny you that space. So now Martial's got to find a way to come into the game a little bit more by probably dropping deep or pulling wide to combine in space and to find a way to play through.
That's right. Interesting to see if he takes up a slightly different position as this game goes on. Here's Rashford. Cut back to Fernandes on the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area. Lovely ball into Mason Greenwood. Fires a goal. And that's a wonderful equaliser from Mason Greenwood. His 7th Premier League goal of the season. No doubt about the quality of his left foot there as he drives that towards the goal. Ramsdale gets a hand to it, but he just can't keep it out.
And that was an example of what we were talking about with his ability to finish in different areas. There we saw him receive the ball on the left foot, just open it up and then strike the ball. The key thing is he struck it with so much power across the goalkeeper. As you say, Ramsdale got his hand to the ball. He would have had the opportunity to save it, but then the power was there. It just carried the ball through into the net. But that was a great finish of Greenwood.
He takes one touch, sets himself and drives it back across the goal, as he should do, with so much venom, so much power on the strike. And Ramsdale was unable to do anything about that. He might be a little bit disappointed in himself watching it back, seeing as it was so close to him, but such was the power and the venom on that shot. I think it would be very harsh to criticise the goalkeeper.
Yeah, the placement wasn't quite there for Greenwood. You saw there it was quite close to Ramsdale in the end, and Ramsdale just had one hand on the ball as opposed to normally we'd see goalkeepers put two hands to try and block the ball. But yeah, it was the pace and power from Greenwood, and that's a player with make an input on the first at United.
Manchester United 1, Bournemouth 1, 29.5 minutes played here at Old Trafford. Stanislas with a wonderful goal to give the visitors the lead. Mason Greenwood with the reply here at Old Trafford to bring things back to level terms. Wan-Bissaka will take this throw in. Fernandes, lovely touch around the corner. Delivers into the penalty area towards that far post. Over Rashford's head. It's to Shaw now. Edge of the box towards Greenwood, who just lost his footing. Bournemouth have the ball with Josh King now. Wan-Bissaka's done really well there, but King's done even better to bring the ball out for Bournemouth. Here's Stanislas now on this left-hand side, attacking the Manchester United penalty area. One-on-one with Lindelof, drives towards goal. Just lost his footing at the key moment there. Martial fouled inside the centre circle by Jefferson Lerma. We're going to see the first yellow card of the afternoon.
That's no surprise if it goes to Lerma.
He's made a few of those so far, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's the definition of a tactical fouler. He likes to slow the opposition down a little bit, and that does look quite nasty. The studs definitely came up on the knee there of Martial.
It's a horrible challenge when you see it again on the replay. Could be an argument that he's lucky that he's got away with just the yellow card there. It's his 10th booking of the season, which tells you all you need to know about the type of midfielder and competitor that Jefferson Lerma is.
I think the term is combative, isn't it?
I think that's just a nice word for somebody who's dirty, if I'm honest. A player that I think is also very similar is Bissouma of Brighton, and I watched him in the recent game against Arsenal, get away with murder throughout. And he didn't even receive a yellow card by the end of it somehow. But these players, they play right on the fringes of what's acceptable, don't they? They know the line, and they sort of step over it and step back over it and do what they can to stay out of the book.
A lot of big teams have those players now. You look at Fabinho and Fernandinho at Liverpool and Manchester City respectively. They're the kings at fouling a player and then getting up with a smile towards the referee, so that the referee's a little bit more lenient perhaps than he might otherwise have been.
Rashford from range, his shot's deflected off of Nathan Ake, and it's gone out for a Manchester United corner. 32 minutes gone here at Old Trafford. Manchester United are back on level terms thanks to Mason Greenwood. Bruno Fernandes will take this corner for the hosts. Delivered into the penalty area. Nathan Ake just gets a glancing header to it. Here is Shaw back into the mix. Martial's underneath it, heads it back across the goal. It's come off a hand of a Bournemouth defender. It's fallen to Harry Maguire, who strikes. But anyway, it won't matter because Mike Dean has pointed to the spot.
Be interested to see the replay there. I think that Mike Dean let the play go on to see if United would score from open play, but he seems to have just given the penalty anyway.
There's no doubt in my mind that it struck a hand.
Yeah, right there.
Certainly comes off of, I think it was Adam Smith's hand.
And the hand came up as well, as you see there. Yeah, that's definitely a penalty kick.
There can be no complaints about that from Eddie Howe. Martial, is he onside? Just. It's it back across the goal. Adam Smith comes across. You're right, he's got his hand out. The hand's come up. I don't think anybody can argue with that. And I was surprised that Mike Dean didn't give it sooner.
Yeah, I think he was just letting the play go to see if United would score anyway because they were still in a good position. But here's a chance for United to go 2-1 up, and if they do so, I think that Bournemouth will have a really hard task coming back into this game.
Indeed, it's Marcus Rashford who's going to take the penalty for Manchester United. The VAR are just taking a quick look at the incident. I think the check is over, though.
Yeah, they were confirming no offside, I think.
Certainly appears that way with the lines being drawn across the pitch. It's Marcus Rashford against Aaron Ramsdale here. Rashford from 12 yards. Marcus Rashford, and it's a goal, and Manchester United are in front. Having gone behind, they've turned this game around on its head. Aaron Ramsdale went the right way, but he was unable to keep it out. And Marcus Rashford scores his 15th Premier League goal of the season.
Very composed penalty there. You saw him stutter. He's waiting for the goalkeeper to move, but Ramsdale doesn't move to his credit. He wins the battle, if you like, with Rashford and guesses correctly where the ball's going. The key is the placement from Rashford. He hits it low, he hits it hard. Very difficult for any goalkeeper to get down quickly enough to block the ball when it's hit into that zone.
Unlucky from the goalkeeper, but it's a penalty expertly dispatched by Marcus Rashford.
It's incredible to think that United have Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood now both coming through the youth system. How much money could they potentially save them over the next 10 years?
That's right. Particularly the way transfer fees have been going in recent years. Here is Harry Maguire.
That's what every club wants. Every club wants to find a goal scorer coming through.
Ball's come to Solanke here. Is he offside? Bournemouth keep going. Bournemouth keep playing, and Bournemouth have the ball in the back of the net. The flag's gone up. But I'm sure VAR will be taking a look at this. We just see the replay. David De Gea played it to Harry Maguire. He is offside, isn't he, Solanke? The ball comes off of Brooks. He's just straight offside. He does really, really well to know where his teammate is.
Harry Maguire is very lucky to get away with that. We touched upon that earlier on. His ability to progress the ball isn't quite at the level that he sometimes thinks it is.
But there are chinks in Manchester United's armour. Bournemouth will be taking confidence from moments like these.
Definitely. And Bournemouth now need to come out. They need to step forward a little bit more in possession. They need to be braver. They need to get the ball forward and commit players forward. So the key thing will be to see if they can manage to do that while not giving United space behind them that they can attack.
Pogba plays a long ball towards the edge of the Bournemouth penalty area. Ramsdale will gather it. Martial and Greenwood were both chasing it, but he was able to prevent it reaching the goalkeeper. Here is Paul Pogba. Back to Victor Lindelof. Back to De Gea. Maguire coming or pulling out to his left once again to receive the ball, this time under no pressure whatsoever. Manchester United just slowing the tempo right down now.
Yep, they're trying to pull Bournemouth out towards them. That's why now you see Matic in possession. The ball will go back to him and then possibly back out to the left-hand side. They're trying to pull Bournemouth out to create space that they can play into.
Here's Luke Shaw. Infield to Matic. Infield again to Pogba. Here's Lindelof. Bruno Fernandes. Now Maguire. Matic with a driven ball towards. I think it was aimed for Martial, but ended up back with a goalkeeper in the end. Josh King underneath that. The Lanky's underneath this, but Harry Maguire keeps his eyes on the ball. Manchester United have possession back once more. Wan-Bissaka driving into that inside channel. A half space. Here is Lerma. Overhit there. Josh King with absolutely no chance of keeping that in. Nope. You're absolutely right to make that point earlier on, Lee, that Bournemouth, when they win possession back, they don't seem to have an option. They don't seem to have an outlet. Somebody who can make the ball stick just for those few seconds to get the rest of their team up the pitch.
Yeah, that's all it takes. Otherwise, you end up defending constantly because even when you win the ball back in transition, you either get counter-pressed and lose possession quickly, or you hit the ball as Bournemouth did there and it goes out of play or goes back to the goalkeeper or a United defender. Those are the positions where Bournemouth need to make a change to get something to stick so they're able to move forward in a more progressive manner. At the moment, they're struggling to, and they're starting to sit deeper and deeper, and you can see the time the centre-halves for United have in possession. Eventually, that will be telling.
Here's Nathan Ake for Bournemouth, carrying the ball out of that defence. Inside to Josh King, takes a touch on the turn. Plays it back to Diego Rico. Played a ball in towards the penalty area, but it was low and it wasn't anywhere near reaching anybody, if I'm honest. Greenwood just steps over that. The ball's gone out and Bournemouth have a throw-in as a result. Lee, we've got a question coming in from Harshal in the chat. He says, Lee, do you think United signing a winger would help Aaron Wan-Bissaka from an attacking point of view?
Potentially, yes. Well, that is also going to limit the amount of minutes that Mason Greenwood has in terms of his development as well, though. There are a lot of links with likes of Jadon Sancho, who's obviously a top-class talent and a player who'd benefit any team, but you've got to be mindful of exactly what that means for a squad management position. I think that Wan-Bissaka comes forward and outside, and that's fine. He stretches the width that side, but sometimes having the players who can play in the half space a little bit more can be more beneficial, if you like. So, like Bruno Fernandes, you'll see pull out to that side when Wan-Bissaka goes forward. I think that United have a choice to make now as to whether they're going to transition Greenwood into playing a central striker role and splitting his minutes with that into Martial. If that's the case, then yes, they do need to sign a right winger. I don't think Dan James is quite of the standard that they need, and certainly somebody like Sancho would make a difference.
Thank you very much, Harshal, for your question. Don't forget, guys, keep those coming in the live chat boxes, and we'll be sure to pick up as many of those as we can throughout the broadcast. Let's have a look at those watching us via YouTube at the moment. Hello to Krish. Hello to Maximus. Hello to, with the screen name 00 Gamer. Yeah, big hello to every single one of you. Don't forget to smash the like button if you are watching us on YouTube, and subscribe if you haven't already. Alternatively, you can download the Hot Mic app and you can sync our commentary with your television pictures. Here's Josh King. One-on-one with Victor Lindelof, just inside the Manchester United penalty area. Looks to fashion the space for a cross. Can't manage the cross, but he's managed to win his team a corner with around 4 minutes of the first period remaining.
Lindelof was lucky again there. I don't know what's going on with the body position and the body shape of these defenders for United when they're in these areas, but he went with his wrong foot to try and block that cross. Really, you should be opening up your body and try to block it with your right foot in those areas.
Yeah, you're right. Certainly. Bournemouth's first corner of the afternoon. 42 minutes played here almost. Delivery into the box, headed clear by Marcus Rashford. Diego Rico will take it down. Here's Adam Smith, the man whose handball led to Manchester United's penalty. Subsequently put the Red Devils in front for the first time this afternoon. Ball's back with Ramsdale now. Long ball forward. Here's Smith, infield. Cook. Brooks. Into Lerma. There's Nathan Ake. Bournemouth the ones keeping possession at the moment. Manchester United the side with most of their players in their own half. Ball forward towards Josh King. Played beautifully in the space in towards Stanislas. He's got the ability to drift inside, hasn't he, Stanislas, and affect the game.
He does. Very tricky, very good. Normally his control's much better than we saw there. He had an opportunity to pick up possession, but he just seemed to let that run away from him.
Marcus Rashford wins the ball back for Manchester United, but the pass to Wan-Bissaka is a poor one, and Bournemouth have the ball back as a result. 43 minutes played here. Here's Adam Smith. Looks down the line, plays a long, hopeful ball towards Josh King, who gets ahead to it, makes the flick on, but Dominic Solanke hadn't made that run beyond him. Manchester United happy to just put their foot on the ball and slow things right down. Every single Bournemouth player behind the ball at the moment. Every single player inside their own half. Maguire carries the ball forward and then goes out to that left-hand side where Anthony Martial will pick up possession. Infield to Bruno Fernandes. Switches the play to Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Rashford makes movement out to this right flank, creating some space in that inside channel. Space that was closed down very quickly by Eddie Howe's defence. Here's Victor Lindelof now. To Maguire. Poor pass, sloppy pass from Maguire, but fortunately for him, got the ball back. Matic just urging Wan-Bissaka to drop short there. Bournemouth are doing a fairly good job of closing down most of the options. How long can you maintain that for?
Well,
eventually there will be a gap, won't there?
Definitely, and that is difficult to do in a 4-4-2 as well. They're outnumbered in the midfield from the get-go when you think about the fact that United have a 3, and that's why you're seeing the two forwards have to drop so deep, because they're having to block passing lanes and prevent the ball being played into free man in midfield. I think it's interesting to note that we just saw the fluidity of the United front three. You saw Martial pick the ball up on the left, Greenwood was central, and Rashford was out on the right-hand side. So each of those players has the ability to play in any role.
That's right, it's a lovely ball in behind here for Luke Shaw. It's a good touch from Luke Shaw, and then it's come off his own post there, I think from Adam Smith, but luckily for Bournemouth, the flag had gone up anyway.
That was a good pass and a good run from Luke Shaw down the outside. You can see he is just drifting offside. That's a huge difference in Luke Shaw from when he played under Jose Mourinho, when obviously he was often made the scapegoat, if you like, for poor performances from United. But over the last few weeks, he's really emerged as a key part of their attacking game plan.
He has indeed, and it was a wonderful pass, wasn't it, from Bruno Fernandes in behind. Flag just went
perfectly.
Up
just perfectly weighted. I think
exactly.
Fernandes has that. We talked about the fact he can get beyond the striker, but he can also drop deeper into the midfield to pick up possession. He has that kind of flexibility to perform different roles in the midfield.
This is, of course, his 9th Premier League appearance, signed for £49.5 million, and so far it looks like money well spent.
It does. There'll be a lot of clubs looking at this deal now because obviously he was the player who was linked to clubs. It seemed like every transfer window for about 2 seasons, Bruno's name was always coming up in terms of Premier League clubs. United eventually made the deal, and there'll be other clubs looking at it and wishing they had.
Here's Martial towards that far corner. That is a wonderful goal from Anthony Martial. We were talking about him a little bit earlier, how he'd been a little bit quiet, but he stepped up with a wonderful goal, and it's his 15th in the Premier League this season.
And that's the quality that Martial has. We talked about the fact that we might see him drop it at different positions to try and get on the ball. That's exactly what we've seen there. He picks the ball up on the left-hand side. Bournemouth were slow to close him down for a player of his quality, and he's able just to shift the ball inside. And then there's no way the goalkeeper is going to stop that once he curls the ball straight across the goal into the top corner. That is a fantastic goal, a great finish. And now Bournemouth really have to work hard in the second half.
He steps inside Adam Smith there. I think it's Solanke who goes to close him down almost half-heartedly. Just allows Martial that little bit of space. And once that ball leaves his boot, you know exactly where it's going. It's a wonderful finish. Ramsdale with absolutely no chance. And as a result, Manchester United lead Bournemouth by 3-1.
The shot was that good from Martial. It clipped top at the bottom of the bars. It went in. That's how you know that the goalkeeper had no chance of getting it.
Absolutely. What a huge blow that'll be to Eddie Howe's side right on the stroke of half-time as Martial looks to create some space inside the Bournemouth penalty area.
It's a huge blow, and we talked about the fact that the strikers are able to move into different roles, and that's what we saw there. Martial was able to pull out to the left-hand side, and when he gets the ball one-on-one, his ability to shift the ball quickly and change direction is really, really strong.
Here is Marcus Rashford to play the ball in for Bruno Fernandes, but he puts his hand up to acknowledge the idea, at least perhaps not the execution, but the idea was certainly right. It's half-time here at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 1. Junior Stanislas opened the scoring with a wonderful individual goal early on. Manchester United got back on level terms through Mason Greenwood. Marcus Rashford put the Red Devils in front from the penalty spot. And Anthony Martial has increased their lead right on the stroke of half-time with a wonderful finish. It's Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 1. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back very, very soon. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to Total Football Analysis's live coverage of Manchester United versus Bournemouth. The Red Devils lead by 3-1 after Junior Stanislas put the visitors in front after a wonderful piece of skill just inside the penalty area, completely done Harry Maguire, and then beat David De Gea at his near post. Of course, United drew back on level terms through Mason Greenwood. Marcus Rashford put them in front, and Anthony Martial extended their lead with a wonderful effort from the edge of the penalty area. I'm Harry Symeou and I'm joined by Lee Scott. Lee, interesting half of football for sure. That goal, that third goal, though, it just feels like it might be the final nail in the coffin for Bournemouth.
I think it'll be difficult now for Bournemouth to find a way back in the game. They've done well. I think before the game, Eddie Howe gave an interview and he was speaking about the fact that he felt they just needed that little bit of luck to run for them that perhaps hasn't been since the lockdown lifted and football came back. Referenced the fact that they had a shot in their last game off the inside of the post when the game was still in the balance, things like that. And certainly we've seen that. We've seen Bournemouth had obviously that great first goal, but then the penalty was a little bit harsh perhaps. But at the end of the day, the player did lift his arm up towards the ball in the area, and that's always going to put his team in a difficult position. But you've got to admire the quality as well from United when they've got the ball at those dangerous areas. The way that Greenwood took the touch on his left foot, opened up his body, and then the power and the placement of the shot was excellent. And then Martial's goal was certainly one for the highlight reel when he cut inside and put the ball in an area where no goalkeeper in the world would get it. I think that those things are going against Bournemouth at the moment, and certainly as the game goes on, if they don't get back into the game early in the first 10 to 15 minutes, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for them.
Indeed, this could turn out to be a very, very long afternoon for Eddie Howe's side. Manchester United have made its substitution at the break. Victor Lindelof has made way, and Eric Bailly will come on at centre-back, like-for-like change, of course. Not sure if there's an injury to Lindelof or anything like that. We haven't had any confirmation, but interesting to see that, of course, United have made a change, as have Bournemouth. Brooks has gone off, and he's being replaced by Danjuma, wearing the number 14 shirt for the Cherries.
I think difficult for Brooks. He's obviously feeling his way back to first team football following a really long injury layoff. Before he was injured, he was one of the best players in his position, perhaps even the Premier League, never mind for Bournemouth. So, difficult game for him. I did think in the first half we really hadn't seen him pick up possession. Eric Bailly gives a slightly different profile, a little bit more pace in the back line now for United, so they'll be able to defend back towards their own goal with a little bit more success, I think. Lindelof had a good first half, so chances are, if it's not a knock, it's purely tactical, I think. Nothing to do with the performance of Lindelof in the first half.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And of course, in Bournemouth's change, we've seen Stanislas come out onto the right-hand side now, which is a slight tweak to the position he was playing in the first half. He was, of course, very much operating from the left, but with Danjuma coming on, he seems to have gone out onto that left-hand side with Stanislas coming over to the right. Given away there by Harry Maguire. Here's Dominic Solanke carrying it forward for Bournemouth. Can he find his teammate? He's going to go all the way through, almost Dominic Solanke. Here's King, edge of the box, fired at goal. Good save from De Gea. He spilt it. It's come back out. Bournemouth with another opportunity. This time it's come off the post. He's never going to score from that angle, though, is he? Danjuma.
Oh, we thought that was the first goal. He managed to score from that angle, so who knows? I think, again, that was just a point where we see Maguire again give the ball away for United again. He isn't as good on the ball as he seems to think he is. He seems to have bought into the hype a little bit more and see himself as a ball playing centre half, but he really needs to not be giving the ball away in those areas, and that was a very dangerous position he put his team in.
You've just seen Eric Bailly make an absolute howler here for Manchester United. He's put his arm up and he's just given away the cheapest of handballs. Mike Dean is just waiting for the VAR to have a look at that. We just see this incident against Solanke driving through. It was Josh King who got his body in the way, laid it off to the edge of the box, shot at goal, spilt by De Gea. De Gea's done well, to be fair. It's a very wide position. Danjuma taking inspiration from what Stanislas did early on, but his effort comes off the foot of the post. Bournemouth going so close at the start of this second period. Just awaiting Mike Dean and the VAR check, because it looked like Eric Bailly handled the ball there right on the edge of the Manchester United penalty area. It's inside the area. in my opinion anyway. It's on the line, it counts.
That's a ridiculous choice. If this does end up being a penalty, that's obviously a huge mistake that Bailly's made already. You've caught yourself off balance in that position, but don't raise your arm like that.
What on earth has gone through Eric Bailly's head there? And he's decided to put his arm up. It's a crazy, crazy decision. He'll be very, very fortunate if he gets away with this. You can see the VAR with the lines they're drawing. I think they're just trying to establish whether it was inside or outside of the penalty area.
Might be right on the edge of the area looking at it.
It looks like it's on the line, which by my calculations or by what I know would count as inside.
He's just got himself caught in a bad position. He's tried to leap, and there's no need to raise your arm like that.
He's tried to pull the arm away as the ball's come, but has he already made contact with it there? It looks a little bit less conspicuous, doesn't it, when you see it, when you see the pictures moving rather than that freeze frame.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Bailly, with VAR, they now have the opportunity to freeze that, though, so that could be the deciding factor here.
Looks like the penalty's been given. Mike Dean has pointed to the spot, and Bournemouth have an opportunity to get themselves back in this game right at the start of the second half. Bailly's first involvement, or one of his very first involvements, is to concede a penalty. It's Josh King who puts the ball down for Bournemouth. A chance for Eddie Howe's side to claw their way back into this game, perhaps. Josh King steps up. Josh King scores. Brilliant penalty. David De Gea went the right way, but Bournemouth are back in this one. It's Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 2.
That was an excellent penalty from the former Manchester United player. He just opened up his body at the last moment and hit the ball at a good height to get past the goalkeeper, good power on it, and I think De Gea wasn't going to get there. A little bit more conviction from the Spanish goalkeeper, though. Might have been nice to see if he could get himself across and throw himself a little bit closer to that, but very well taken by King. Bailly will be very disappointed to have given that away only a couple of minutes after coming onto the field.
It's a shocking decision, isn't it? It's terrible decision-making from the centre-half.
In all fairness, it was also a shocking pass back to him. To play a ball back under no pressure to your centre-half at that height, at that pace, at that angle, really wasn't a very good look. I think it was Nemanja Matic that played the ball back in that area. And a little bit more care, I think, was needed from the Man United team as a whole.
Bournemouth have a chance to claw their way back into this game. It's 3-2. Still plenty of work to be done from Eddie Howe's side, but that's a huge confidence boost. It's a gift from Manchester United right at the start of the second half. Josh King converting from the spot. It's his 5th Premier League goal of the season. Manchester United will be looking to respond, having looked fully in control at half-time. Perhaps Bournemouth may be able to still find a way back. Here is Solanke carrying the ball forward. Bournemouth have a man over on this left-hand side. Josh King lays it off to the substitute, Danjuma, and it's a goal. And Bournemouth are back on level terms. Oh, the flag's up. The flag's up, but the VAR will, of course, step in here. It looked like maybe he did just stray offside. I don't know.
The pass was intended for the player on the far side. It was intercepted by the striker, who then moved it on, and that was the problem. If the striker had left that ball, the player receiving possession was onside, and then he would have had the chance to finish as he did.
Definitely, and it's a wonderful finish as well from Arnaut Danjuma. Went with his right foot across David De Gea's goal. Beat the Spaniard, all ends up. The goal has been correctly ruled out for offside. Wow, this has been an entertaining watch.
We talked about Bournemouth having to come back into the game and the importance that an early goal would have, and we see that their confidence is up. They're moving the ball, they're making runs, more importantly, to support the strikers, which is what they need to do. I think a little bit more intelligence there from the forward players to leave that ball for the player outside him, and we'd have seen United in a real problem.
You can see Solanke and King have obviously been told to play a little bit closer together and play try and play on the shoulder a little bit more, because they have broken away really effectively a couple of times in this second half so far, Bournemouth. And of course, we're seeing Arnaut Danjuma as well, getting really close to them. In case you missed it earlier on, Norwich City suffered a 1-0 defeat at the hands of Brighton and Hove Albion. A goal from Leandro Trossard making the difference there. Elsewhere, Leicester lead Crystal Palace by 1-0. Kelechi Iheanacho with the goal there. And of course here it's Manchester United 3, Bournemouth 2. Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Arsenal a little bit later on. And then this evening for the late game it's Chelsea against Watford. Another game that the Manchester United fans will be keeping a close eye on as Matic looks to play it inside. It's hooked away by Nathan Ake. Josh King underneath this. Paul Pogba does really, really well to hold off not just one but two challenges. Shaw into Fernandes. Now Rashford. Fernandes picks it up once more into Rashford again. The two combining really, really well on this left-hand side for Manchester United. Ball inside. Here's Matic. Back to the Portuguese midfielder. Shaw's made the overlapping run. Shaw will receive it and Shaw will deliver into the penalty area. Martial takes it down on his chest. Brilliant close control. Will it break for Rashford? Lerma does well. Here's Greenwood. Thinks about shooting with his right foot. And that's a wonderful goal from Mason Greenwood. This time with the right peg. And Lee, you were talking about how effective this young man was going either way. And what a stunning goal that is from Mason Greenwood.
And that's why young players need to practice on both sides. That's why they need to develop their ability to hit the ball with both feet. You saw there when he had the opportunity on the right-hand side this time, just shifted the ball, created the smallest little gap to be able to get a shot away. And what a finish that is for such a young player. I can't believe how composed and how good a finish this is for such a young man at this stage. That's a great finish across the goalkeeper.
It's a wonderful strike from Greenwood and he thinks about striking it there. He delays, he holds it off a little bit longer, shifts it a little bit more. And all the time the angle's closing for Greenwood as he's going wider and wider. But he still has the presence of mind and the confidence in his own ability to strike that with his right foot back across Ramsdale, who once again had absolutely no chance.
And once again, it's the power from Greenwood that's the key factor. If we saw that in the first half, when it was a shot on his left foot, it was the power that carried it past the goalkeeper. Again, there, even going away from goal, he's able to generate the power that he needs to be able to put the ball into that zone that the goalkeeper can't get it. Another great finish from Greenwood.
Just 18 years old. I struggle to think of an 18-year-old in recent history who was such an accomplished finisher and comfortable going either way. Is there going to be a VAR check here? Is there a possible offside? That looked mightily close, didn't it, Lee?
It did. I think United would be very lucky that the check went their way. They'd be very happy it did. But Greenwood deserves it for that finish.
He does indeed.
I think it's interesting. You made a good point about young players. Quite often when they make the breakthrough, you don't see them have that finishing ability and that composure in front of goal. And that's why we often see young players played wide instead of centrally when they break through. A lot of strikers make the start. As Greenwood is here, playing as a right attacking player instead of a central forward. Eventually, in time, I think he'll develop and he'll transition to play as that central striker for United. And it would be difficult to defend against for any player, any defender with Greenwood picking the ball up centrally, knowing he can go left or right and finish on either side from that area. That's something that's going to be something to look forward to in years going forward, I think.
And people talk about Manchester United perhaps not having a world-class centre-forward at the moment, and that's one of the areas in which they need to strengthen perhaps to close the gap on Liverpool and Manchester City. But if Mason Greenwood keeps developing at this rate, he's certainly giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer something to think about, isn't he?
He is, and there's not many coaches who have a better idea of what it takes to be a top-class centre-forward at this level rather than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He was a great finisher in his day. Maybe not as powerful a finisher as Greenwood seems to be, but somebody who would be able to find the angle, to find the net. And I believe there's been a lot of work done on the training ground with Solskjaer and the likes of Greenwood and Rashford to work on their finishing ability.
For sure. Here's where Wan-Bissaka delivers into the penalty area. It's headed clear at the near post by Lloyd Kelly. Back with Nemanja Matic though. Just moments after Bournemouth found their way back into this game, Mason Greenwood stepped up with the goods. It's now looking very bleak for Eddie Howe's side. Here is Marcus Rashford. Lays it off to Paul Pogba. Strikes with the left foot. Deflected away from the goal, fortunately for Bournemouth. Here is Harry Maguire under a bit of pressure from Josh King there. Skips past him and then skips past Solanke. more so from power than his technical ability. Here is Anthony Martial, feints to shoot, looks to go past Lloyd Kelly. Manchester United have the ball back though. Here's Bruno Fernandes into Martial's feet. He's brought down right on the edge of the penalty area. Lloyd Kelly, the man who's committed the foul, 57.5 minutes played here at Old Trafford. It's Manchester United 4, Bournemouth 2, and the hosts have a free kick right on the edge of the penalty area.
Really dangerous position. This favours a right-footed taker. I definitely expect to see a direct shot at goal from here. I would imagine it'll be Bruno Fernandes after we saw Rashford take one off his foot in the first half. It looks like a lot of interest though from United players.
Maguire's there, Rashford's there, Fernandes is there, Pogba's there. Certainly be telling Maguire to move if I was Bruno Fernandes or Paul Pogba here.
You see Pogba and Fernandes talking about it now. You can see Fernandes telling him that he wants to take it.
Will it be the £49.5 million signing? Or will it be Paul Pogba to strike this one? Fernandes looks poised. Pogba just behind him. Always difficult from this distance to get it up and down. Will he go across the goalkeeper? Instead, let's see, it's Bruno Fernandes to strike it. Oh, and it's a wonderful free kick from Bruno Fernandes. It's his 6th Premier League goal of the season. And surely now Manchester United have all 3 points in the bag.
And you spoke about it. You asked if he'd go across the goalkeeper. You did. It's very difficult to get the ball up and over the wall if you're going for that near post in that area. And Fernandes has the quality. He just took a step and then arched the ball back across the goalkeeper into the far corner of the net.
It's a wonderful goal from Bruno Fernandes. Are we waiting for some sort of check again? Because it feels like you can't even celebrate goals in football anymore. It's Bruno Fernandes. That's a wonderful free kick. He just sweeps it across with that right foot of his. It's a magical finish. Ramsdale again, no chance.
It's a technique thing. You see the technique of the player as he strikes the ball. He shapes as if he's going to hit it into that near post and curl the ball over the wall. But then the way that he changes the angle of his foot when he actually makes contact is the key. That's it. The disguise on the shot more than anything else. But it looks like there is definitely going to be a check of some kind.
It only takes, doesn't it, that split second of doubt where the goalkeeper thinks about going the other way and then you've got him. What are we seeing here? Is it an appeal for an offside, perhaps? Is it
perhaps the player closest to the wall for United?
Matic? There is certainly no offside there. Nope, we're going to get a restart, which means the goal's been given. Manchester United 5, Bournemouth 2.
You're absolutely right. It feels like you can't celebrate a goal. You can't talk about a goal in football now without waiting for the check to go through.
And people were worried it was going to take the emotion out of football, and it does to a degree, doesn't it?
It does. It does with the players as well. I mean, do they celebrate? Do they not celebrate? That's the thing about the game now. You almost see them waiting for the referee to say goal rather than just acting on instinct.
And it makes you feel like a bit of an idiot as a commentator when you raise your voice and the goal gets chalked off. So, yeah, it's certainly not ideal. But going back to that Bruno Fernandes free kick, you were talking about the way he disguises the technique and the way he changes the direction right at the last minute. And it only takes for the goalkeeper to take half a step the other way to create that space for you to squeeze it in, doesn't it?
Exactly. As soon as the goalkeeper's momentum moves one way, it's very difficult for them to have that explosive movement to move back the other way. It takes time for them to be able to transfer their energy and their movement to go a different direction.
That's right. Once you put your body weight one way, very, very difficult to bring it back. 61.5 minutes played here. It's Manchester United 5, Bournemouth 2. Plenty of goals for you here. 7 so far. A few more. As Bournemouth have this throw-in, which is launched into the penalty area by Lloyd Kelly. Pogba gets ahead to it. King will pick up the loose ball. Bournemouth with an opportunity to go again, but they're forced all the way back. And it's now Lloyd Kelly on the left-hand side. Ake chests it down to Lerma. To Adam Smith. Of course, his handball is what led to the Red Devils taking the lead. Marcus Rashford converted the resulting penalty. Looks like Bournemouth are going to make a double substitution here.
I think they have to try to chase the game. A story of finishing, though, from United. You've seen some excellent finishers from their forward players. I think that's